On the eve of the Fourth Great Ninja War, two villains formed an alliance which, however, could hardly be called a strong one. Obito and Kabuto agreed to fight together against the five great nations, but neither trusted the other. The Uchiha clearly fell for blackmail. The former spy threatened him with the return of the real Madara. On top of that, Kabuto demanded that Sasuke be handed over to him, something Tobi absolutely did not want to do. Yakushi himself was constantly playing his own game, and even planned to take Naruto and B for himself, breaking the agreement and not handing them over to Kabuto as planned. In short, each was ready to betray the other. Let's imagine that the betrayal did in fact happen. Obito pretended to agree to Kabuto's terms, obtained the Rinnegan, the White Mask, and the War Fan. He was ready to start the war, but before that decided to attack Kabuto directly in their hideout, all in order to preserve his secret, keep Sasuke, and prevent yet another great power from interfering with his plan to capture the Jinchuriki. Let's immediately set the conditions, for the sake of fairness. Each fights using only their own power. Kabuto will not resurrect the dead, and Obito will not use the tailed beasts. This will be a confined fight at the entrance to the cave. So which antagonist will win? In reality, the battle turns out to be quite interesting, considering that Obito was defeated only thanks to the cheat-like nature of Kamui, something only Kakashi was capable of. Meanwhile, Kabuto was defeated thanks to Izanami, an equally cheat-like power that at the time, only Itachi could use. What also makes this fight interesting is that at one point in the story, the antagonists were essentially equal in narrative terms. Their abilities also overlap in many ways. Both are extremely fast. Obito reacted to Naruto and Guy, and Kabuto to Itachi and Sasuke. One could say that this isn't much of an achievement, but in any case, Sage Mode boosts stats. It's also worth remembering that the cave battle was not to the death. Kabuto wanted to capture Sasuke alive, and Itachi was already dead. At the same time, both brothers intended only to neutralize their opponent, not kill him. Both Obito and Kabuto regenerate physical damage extremely quickly. Overall, their powers partially balance each other out. Understanding that his opponent has a clear trump card in the form of Edo Tensei, Obito will try to end things quickly. He approaches from behind and attempts to drag Kabuto into his dimension so that he disappears there forever. Yakushi reacts instantly and immediately cuts off his enemy's arm with a chakra scalpel. Obito jumps back and becomes intangible. His opponent transforms into a snake and dives into the darkness of the cave. Everything is clear without words. This will be a fight to the death. Fortunately, the torn-off arm was a prosthetic made from Zetsu cells. After restoring the lost limb, Obito does not rush to chase his enemy, because he needs to carefully think through a strategy. The Uchiha knows almost nothing about Kabuto's abilities, while Yakushi studied him well before the meeting and even knew that he was not who he claimed to be. To kill his opponent, Obito will have to become tangible. If he loses vigilance even for a second, he will die instantly. Izanagi will not come to his rescue, because after obtaining the Rinnegan, Obito was left with only one Sharingan, the one tied to his main ability, Kamui. Losing this eye would be equivalent to death for him, so Obito has no room for error. To scout the situation, he lifts his mask and launches a dancing flame blast into the cave. The fire is immediately knocked down by a wave of water, splashing at the Uchiha's feet. It seems Kabuto is in no hurry to come out. It's unlikely that his water technique extinguished all the flames. The attack was powerful, but the opponent clearly survived it. That means Obito will have to fight on his enemy's territory. Becoming intangible again, he enters the cave. Stone spikes immediately pass through the Uchiha's body, as if Kabuto had already entered Sage Mode and modified the cave itself. Obito is unharmed, but this was only Yakushi's first move, testing his enemy's intangibility. After the spikes, he releases White Rage from the darkness in order to find Kamui's weaknesses. The flash disrupts the masked man's sight and hearing, but his body does not freeze. You see, Obito is intangible. The vibration does not immobilize him. He is able to slip underground and escape the attack. Kabuto's plan was to lure Obito into Taiyuya's genjutsu immediately after White Rage and wait until Kamui's effect wore off. Now he has to resort to a backup strategy. While his enemy is intangible, all physical attacks are useless against him. Underground, Obito rapidly formulates his plan to appear behind Kabuto and try to attack him using the element of surprise. There is no point. Yakushi will retaliate, just as he did at the very beginning. As we know, his snakes react to temperature and pick up scents. They will immediately inform their master where his enemy is hiding. Once Obito becomes tangible, Kabuto will seize the moment and finish him with a single blow. In other words, pulling him into the Kamui dimension won't work. Obito also decides not to risk using Sharingan Genjutsu, because to do so, he would at least need to appear in front of Kabuto and look him in the eyes, revealing his position. Besides, as we know, it wouldn't work anyway because of the membrane covering Yakushi's eyes and blocking visual attacks. Even without knowing this, Obito would likely discard the Genjutsu option. As for the Rinnegan absorbing Kabuto's attacks won't work, nor will pulling out his soul. It's enough to simply stand near Kabuto, and he'll split you in two. Wood release also won't be much help. The most obvious option is to leave the cave. If the environment itself has become Kabuto's weapon, then Obito needs to deprive him of that advantage. Obito appears outside the cave wall and summons the Gedo Mazo. With a single strike, the statue destroys the renegade's lair. Kabuto survives the attack by liquefying his body and literally washes away, gaining distance. He summons Manda II, who coils around the Gedo Mazo. While the monsters clash, the battle between their masters returns to a one-on-one format. Kabuto is no longer in as advantageous a position as before. The fight between the statue and the serpent has destroyed part of the landscape, and the fighters can see each other better. However, Kabuto's reaction speed and survivability remain a problem. Even if Obito gets close and deals some damage, Yakushi will simply shed the damaged shell and emerge as good as new. The Uchiha needs a powerful extermination attack, one that will reduce the enemy to dust without any chance to escape. And Obito has such a technique. He orders the statue to fire chakra blasts. This is a truly devastating ability that reshapes the landscape over a vast area. Of course, it can be evaded if the terrain allows it, but a coastal cliff is one thing, and a cleared forest clearing is another. In the anime, the survivors were simply below the level of the attack. Yes, Kitsuchi survived by creating stone shelters. But considering how the statue pulverized stone, it's unlikely that any of the attacks directly hit him. Each blast followed a fixed trajectory. It's possible that none of the projectiles passed through Kitsuchi at all, or that he was outside the damage radius entirely. To avoid missing, Obito creates a ring of Uchiha flame around his opponent. And before Yakushi can figure out how to escape it, the masked man recalls the statue and summons it directly in front of the barrier, charging the chakra blasts and focusing them on Kabuto. Then, Obito removes the barrier and unleashes a concentrated barrage of chakra, annihilating his enemy. From here on, everything depends on the power of the explosion. If the technique is strong enough to destroy every cell in Kabuto's body, then the victory goes to Obito. If Kabuto survives the attack through liquefaction, or thanks to the enhanced durability of Sage Mode and his insane regeneration, then he will have every chance to catch Obito off guard and trap him in Taiyuya's Genjutsu, or simply wear him down. Yakushi can maintain Sage Mode indefinitely, constantly drawing power from nature, while the Uchiha expends more and more chakra, and once he runs out, Kabuto will finish him off. Of course, if Kabuto had started the fight with a resurrected army, the battle would have looked completely different. However, Obito could just as easily have started with the Gedo, and, using the aforementioned blast, turned all the resurrected ninja and Kabuto, along with them, into ash, before they could do anything. And when the resurrected returned to their original state, Obito would already have left the battlefield, since he has no reason to fight them. Alternatively, monsters like Nagato and Madara would instantly turn Obito himself into dust. I'm waiting for your opinion on this. Would Kabuto's resurrected ninja help him in a fight against Obito? Returning to our story, unfortunately, we reach a fork. First, the outcome, where the masked man wins. Obito eliminates his competitor and can now stop worrying about Naruto, Bee, and Sasuke. No one will take them from him, and no one will reveal the secret of his identity, and to the entire world, Obito will remain Madara. There is already a video on my channel about what the war would look like if Obito refused Kabuto's help and his resurrected army. I recommend checking it out as well. Let's move on to Kabuto's victory. He already has an entire army, so he is fully capable of starting a war on his own. However, the question arises, does he even need it at all? After defeating Obito, Kabuto will first of all go after Sasuke. That's how it goes. As for the fight itself, Obito versus Kabuto, for me, this is a truly interesting and difficult simulation, where things are far from unambiguous. That's why I'll be glad to read your versions of how the duel could unfold. Write whether you agree with the results or not. If you enjoyed the video, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss more interesting battles. And thanks for watching.